Hello, good afternoon and welcome to News Today on your Joy News channel here on Multi TV. Coming up, city authorities, top parts of the capital most affected by Thursday's rains following directive by President John Dramani Mahama. Still on the flooding situation and also ahead in this bulletin, we seek the views of a presidential hopeful on ways to solve the country's perennial flooding situation. And we'll tell you more about how the ruling NDC is celebrating its 24th anniversary today. We have details of those stories plus a lot more, including business, sports, entertainment, as well as international updates, all coming up in the next hour here on News Today. Stay with us. My name is Kwabena Chenchehinibuati. Many thanks for joining us here on News Today. To our very first story, the Tsar and Interior Minister Prosper Bani, Environment Minister Mahama Yariga, and city authorities are currently touring parts of the capital, Accra, following yesterday's torrential rains. This follows a directive by the President to conduct an assessment of the situation in parts of the capital most affected by Thursday's downpour. Joseph Akable is with the team and is joining me now on phone with more. So, Joseph, what has the team gathered so far? Joseph, good afternoon. If you can hear me, I'm asking what the team has gathered so far.
I can't really hear you, so but let me go ahead and tell you what exactly you're observing now.
Okay.
Now, we are currently at the Odo Market, close to Circle here in Accra. Now, so far, we have been touring some parts of the city with the local government minister, Colin Dauda, as well as the Minister for Interior, the Minister for Interior, Honorable Prosper Bani, as well as some other government officials. The National Coordinator, Brigadier General Francis Tanziri, is also present as part of the team touring the place. Now, we visited Circle, and from Circle, we moved all the way to Adabraka, then back again to the Odona Market, where we are currently at. Now, so far, we have been led on in terms of the tour team. We have been led by a hydro engineer who was a member of the committee that was set up after the June 3rd disaster. Now, when he tells us that yesterday's flooding incident that took place was not as a result of the Odo drain getting, rather as a result of the channels that link to the Odo drain. He says that those channels are choked and the water is not getting access to the main drain, and that is why those places got flooded over there. Now, another very interesting suggestion that is coming from the local government minister, Amalaji Collins Dauda, is the fact that government might be considering going forward, that is outsourcing the dredging of the Odo drain to a private company to be handling. He says, as it stands now, it's just a proposal that government will be considering. So I'm here with some traders here in the Odo market, and if you don't mind, I can go ahead and interact with some of them. Hello?
Been any talk of the Conti project particularly?
Yeah, with regards to the Conti project, my interaction with the government appointees here, when I spoke to the hydro engineer, that is Mr. Weiss, he tells me that as it stands, it is just at a dredging stage, and that is what the Just Fund Group is carrying out in terms of the dredging. When I try the government, he tells me to comment on that particular one later. So as it stands, that is the information we have with regards to the Conti project.
Okay, right. Joseph Akable, many thanks for your time on News Today this afternoon. And that was Joy News reporter Joseph Akable, who is with the team currently touring parts of the capital, Accra, that were most affected by Thursday's torrential rains. But earlier today, Joy News reporter Favor Nuno also visited some areas in the capital, Accra, affected by the floods. He has come through with his report.
So here in the storm drain, if you can see clearly, there's a vehicle that's actually buried in the silt within the storm drain. It looks like an ash taxi with some yellow paintings on the sides. It's all filled with silt and it's stuck in there. Residents and workers here, I asked, maintain that it was never in this drain, which means that essentially when the rains came yesterday, clearly it must have carried this vehicle into the drain, as you can see here. So this is the situation at hand. Some vehicles have actually been trapped in the storm drains, and we'll be going around to bring you visuals and videos of what the city looks like after the rains came yesterday.
Okay, we saw it yesterday, in the afternoon yesterday. But when we saw it, we thought it was this in a private car. It's this morning that we've seen that it's a taxi. And then yesterday too, those who were, removing certain plywood and other things from there, they saw another taxi there. But today we cannot see it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another taxi was very close to that storm drain there.
Yeah.
One of the three.
Where you can see the rubbish.
Yes.
In the middle of that place.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there in the rubbish, the taxi was stuck there.
Very
and
good.
by this morning,
you cannot see it.
Is it that groups of young men try to pull it out, or?
Okay, as at now, I cannot say anything about that because yesterday night or this morning, early in the morning, I wasn't around.
Okay.
So I cannot say anything about that.
Okay.
And I don't understand why Ghanaians should stay 1 year, the same thing should happen before they take action.
By action, you mean why?
No, after the last year's episode, I was expecting the government to put things in order so that these things will not happen again. Now we can't even walk. We don't even have a place to pass now. So this one, that means that after this one, it will be like this till next year. This is my problem. Yesterday, even Graphic Road, Obiche Bilamte, we couldn't. I went out yesterday. I'm now come because of the rain. You see, so it's not fine. They should do something. And I heard that they did 1 year anniversary after people died last year. Last Thursday was exactly 1 year, and they had a celebration. I don't know, but I heard it that there was celebration and people had dinner, that they are safe and all that. But it's not fair. Yeah.
The Accra Metro maintains that 40% of the work that is required to solve Accra's flooding situation has been done. Would you agree to this figure and this?
I will not agree. To me, I went round today. I don't even think 10% has been done. Nothing is being done at all. Nothing has been done. Not even 10% have been done. I don't know where they are taking the figure from, but what I saw today, nothing is being done.
Dane ko wani bi ba fite in fridge dane fridge fite ya fite shika kensa ken ya wo lo ke ba machine nu ba ya lo emi keke fe we so ya wo lo 4 million keke nu e fitele no mini business of you no kam moko nie you should be in my shoes ake ba now e ba anye survive ke ba shibiane be na egbo kwa moko kwa be na egbo because ngbe akoshike ko ye na ke run business low pay 4 million mabemi onu mi shishin.
Well, so you can hear her there clearly expressing her frustrations at what's been happening, going for bulks of fish to come and then sell. The bulk of fish costing about 400 Ghana cedis. She doesn't make any sales. The entire fish gets bad because the rains come in and then mess it up. She hasn't even put into consideration the amount of money that goes into the dough and the corn that actually brings the kinky together.
Raymond Nakwa has been taking us through the Conti project, a project aimed at putting an end to the flooding situation in the country through the construction of drains, dredging of the Odo, among other proposed options.
The project was supposed to be in 2 phases, which would be completed in 5 years. The first phase was that, there was supposed to be excavation of some 150,000 meters channel, and it's expected to be completed in 9 months. So you are clearing, excavating places where the channels of water have been blocked, 150,000 meters, and this was supposed to be completed in 9 months. The AMA was specifically supposed to provide 20 trucks and 3 loaders for the waste collection after the excavation is done. The second side of this particular project, and of course some of the major drains, even on the first one, which needed to be tackled, were the Kole Lagoon Ecological Restoration Project, and beside a project to restore the Kole Lagoon. That particular one was supposed to be dealt with. Now the central business drainage, right through Circle, through Accra Main and all of that, those were supposed to take it off. And the Odo Channel, that was also supposed to be taken care of. The second phase, which was to start in December 2014 and completed in 2017, actually was supposed to have 15 kilometers of storm sewer and combination sewer works, which will be installed. So let's look at this. 6 kilometers of priority drains, which would include the Mataiko, Mamponse, South Kaneshi, and Ordona drains would be rehabilitated. So this was the difference in there. The first part was to do with more dredging and making sure that you create the excavation required. The second part was then to do with the production of huge drains, as they call the storm sewers, and huge drains, so that these areas will now be properly rehabilitated. And the whole of Accra would have a big deep-seated drain that will gather all the water, send them where they're supposed to be, and not be on the streets and causing havoc. The job of the Conti group was to provide the money, some form of facility for the work. That's why the project was even called the Conti project. What we're supposed to do is provide the other important elements for us to do it. It says most of the money had not been provided. In fact, he could only quote that some 50 million had been used for dredging activities. Just getting to this particular year, when all of this talk about June 3rd and its aftermath and what's been done, the AMA boss came in to say that they've done massive dredging of the various drains, indicating that the first part of the project is near completion. This first part was to do with the excavation, all of that, of the Koli Lagoon, the Central Business District drainage, and also the Odo has been done. That is what the AMA boss boldly said, even though he said that, 40% of the work is what is required at this point in time, which is what has been done. What is the permanent solution to this is the major drains, which they are clear in their minds is yet to be done.
Let's still stay with the issue of flooding, and residents of Tetegu, Oblogo, Pambro Salt and adjoining communities are being asked to evacuate to higher grounds following a decision by the Ghana Water Company Limited to spill the Wager Dam. According to the Ghana Water Company Limited, the spillage is the only way to prevent a possible collapse of the dam. Some residents, however, do not seem bothered by the trend, despite the warning by the Ghana Water Company.
The Ghana Water Company has warned residents of Wager that there will be a massive flooding following the opening of the floodgates of the Wager Dam. This, they said, have been necessitated by the onset of the rains, which is causing the level of the Wager Dam to rise. So as you can see behind me, one gate has been opened. They had to do this to prevent a possible breakdown of the dam. So you can see that the whole area is flooded. Some areas, including Tetegu, Oblogu, McCarthy Hill, Adakope, and other surrounding communities, are going to be affected by this spillage. So you can see the massive flow of the water as the first gate has been opened. You could just imagine what will happen if the second gate is opened. So currently we are moving to the main town where the residents will be affected to speak to some of them. Due to the onset of the rain, you can see that the level of the dam is rising. So as I said earlier, this is just the first gate that has been opened. And you can see the power in which this is flowing. This is very dangerous. It's going all the way to the lowlands. Those are the highlands, I can say, will be safe, but those are the lowlands are going to suffer the consequences of this flood this first gate being opened. So to minimize the spillage, it's just one gate that has been opened. So you can see behind me, this is the second gate.
So the only way to safeguard the dam from possible collapse is for it to be drained of excess water. So the onset of rain is causing the water in the dam to rise steadily, necessitating an increase in the number of spill gates. So this, the company believes, will affect residents near the dam if they are not advised to take appropriate steps to secure their safety.
Residents of Tetegu, Oblogo, McCarthy Hill, Pambro Salt, and other communities have been asked to evacuate because when the second gate is open, the floodgate or the flood is going to be massive, and houses and people are going to be affected by this. As you can see, the water level here is also rising. Bit by bit, when the second gate is open, I believe this whole place will disappear. I don't know the extent, but I believe it's going to disappear because right now, the only way for them to move to the other side is by canoe. The whole place is flooded and is moving. This is just the first gate.
So there are residents over here seated at the higher grounds, and I'm going to be speaking with them because they are supposed to evacuate as the notice came around. They're supposed to evacuate and move to a higher ground so they don't get affected. I have one resident here with me. Good morning, sir.
Fine morning.
Are you aware of the spillage?
Yeah.
So what are you doing?
Actually, we are planning to move out today.
Okay, to where?
To a new location.
Are you normally affected anytime the two gates are open?
No, it's not good car because it's very risky if they open that two gates. It's very risky. I don't know what it's about, but then the government should come in aid. It's very risky. Even one day, much more of the people have been risking their life over here if they open the water like this. I have my family here. Okay. And I have children around my house and stuff. But if they open the water like that, it's very, very, very risky there.
So are you helping your parents pack up?
Oh, for now, they have already started because if then open and they are still here, what will come? It's not good, yeah.
Thank you. So are you aware of the spillage?
Yeah, I'm aware.
So what are you doing now? Are you going to move out from this area, or this is what you do, right?
Okay, actually, this is what I do to help the school children. Okay. Yeah.
So anytime they spill the dam, you have to be available to transport them to the other side?
Yes. I have to be here and transport them to the other side. Okay. Yeah, that's what we do here. The people came here to come and tell us that they will come and give us a life jacket to the school children. But we have waited it for ever since. We didn't get that thing. So we are praying that if you people can do that thing for us, I'll be happy.
And that was a report there by Patricia Gasu from Weja here in Accra. You're still watching News Today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. We'll be back shortly with more stories. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today. To some more stories now. And final year students across the country from next Monday begin writing their basic education certificate examinations, which will determine whether or not they can progress to SHS. Well, the Sashime Basic School was the worst performing school in the Keta municipality of the Volta region last year. None of the candidates who sat for last year's exams got grades good enough to allow them progress to SHS. Joy News' Joseph Opoku-Gakpo visited the school to explore what caused this problem and what will change going into this year's exams.
BEC pass rates in the Keta municipality have been declining over the years. In 2010, only 56% of students who sat for the exams had between aggregate 6 and 30. The pass rate has been hovering around 45 to 48% between 2011 and 2014, but recorded an all-time low of 36% last year. 4 schools recorded a pass rate of 0%, including the Sashime Basic School, which presented 26 candidates.
Per the standards of rural communities here in the Volta region, this school, the Sashime Basic School, is actually one of those with the best infrastructure that you would find. Adequate numbers of school blocks, good classroom sizes, and adequate numbers of teachers. But out of the 89 schools in the entire district, this particular school came last when it comes to the rating when you look at the performance at the basic education certificate examination. The school actually scored 0%. What that means is that of all the candidates that were submitted for the exams, none of them got anything between aggregate 6 and aggregate 30. The headmaster of the school has been explaining what exactly has led to this problem.
I was surprised that my school got 0% this time. They were aiming at exam of practice to get a PO for their exam. So because of that, they misbehaved. They were indisciplined. They don't listen to teachers. When I organize instructors for them, they will not come.
Municipal Education Director Raphael Kojo Kwashi describes the situation as an irony because the school has one of the best educational facilities in the country.
We have adequate infrastructure, and the teachers are also adequate. There is school feeding program here. So why then the poor performance? Majority of the concerns have been on the role the parents have failed to play as stakeholders to uplift education. And then the school children themselves, they were very boisterous, they were smoking weed, they were disrespectful, they were assaulting teachers. And we realized that could be the main reason for the poor performance.
The teachers at the school blame poor attitude of students for the problem. Francis Boku is an English teacher.
The students themselves are not serious because sometimes you organize class for them to come free of charge. They don't come. And I can easily also blame my teachers. Some of the teachers don't report to school early.
The current batch of final year students here agree poor student attitude contributed to the poor performance. They are promising to do better.
They were unrespect to the teachers. They liked smoking too much. They don't take the advice of the teachers. Those are the causes. As for my batch, we are trying to change the 0% to 100%.
So that I read my books and learn hard and respect my teachers. I'll make sure that I'm in first position.
The education director outlines ongoing measures to improve upon performance this year.
Strengthen supervision. So we are empowering our sector supervisors and the supervision department of the directorate. We are also retraining the heads.
School authorities remain confident a turnaround will be seen this year. For Joy News, Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, Keta Municipality.
Well, meanwhile, we've been also speaking to the Municipal Chief Executive for the area, who's been sharing some thoughts with my colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo on the same issue.
Yeah, actually, education is the mainstay of the people of Anglong. And since 2009, when I assumed office, we had a stakeholders conference at Lone to look at the development challenges of the municipality. And prominent in the discussion was the falling side of education and the need for all of us to join hands to arrest it. We identified the poverty level of the people because what happened in the 50s, 60s, 70s was because fishing activities, economic activities were flourishing, and our parents were able to educate our people. And because of the effect of the tidal waves and also the construction of the Volta Dam, which has actually reduced economic life of the people, education was badly affected. So one of the things we looked at was to establish Anglo Education Fund to raise some money to support education. Last year, we had the worst performance of 36%. That has actually generated a lot of concern. We embarked on a program to visit about 22 low-performing schools to meet all the stakeholders, to look at how best we can revert this unfortunate situation. Then we'll collect the views of the people. We are hoping that by April, the final year should have done 2 mock exams. And then in May, we will assemble examiners and the subject teachers to take them through the exams that they have done and then prepare them for the exam. But our concern is not for students to pass exam. They should know what they are doing. So the root cause, which we have identified as the foundation, which is very, very weak, needs to be looked at. And the Assembly is investing in KG education so that the foundation is good. And by the time the children reach class 3 to class 4, they would have known what they are in for. And by JHS, they should be ready for examination.
So we can expect a turnaround in this school. For example, we are told it's the worst performing school as far as last year's results are concerned. And it's quite interesting because they appear to have relatively better infrastructure.
That is the irony. That is the irony. The whole country, apart from maybe the metropolitan and municipal assemblies, Keta is considered as having the best educational infrastructure. You hardly can see a school under a tree in Keta municipality because in the last 7 years we have actually invested in educational infrastructure. But this is not being reciprocated in terms of results. So we are looking at the role that the students, the people themselves, the parents, and then the teachers should be playing. If government should pay salaries to teachers, government should construct school buildings only for students to go and then get 0%. It is so disincentive for government to continue investing. And the president is building 200 community secondary schools because of these children. And if they should not pass, then these facilities will be empty. So the assembly, Keta Municipal Assembly is so much concerned. And we hope to reverse that. The sign will show from this year's results and will continue.
You're still watching News Today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. Let's return to our earlier story of flooding in the capital city, Accra, and that directive by the president that suggested that city authorities tour parts of the capital that have been most affected by this very flood. But earlier I also spoke to you about the County project, a project aimed at putting an end to the flooding situation in the country through the construction of drains, dredging of the Odo, among other proposed options, which has still not been fully executed despite the contract being signed as way back as 2012. Well, some attributes this to the lack of proper planning as a country, while others believe it is the sheer lack of proper leadership. Whatever the case, clearly there appears to be a problem that needs to be addressed. How best do we address this problem, and who best will help us do that? Joining me in studio, possibly with some answers and a solution, is flag bearer of the People's National Convention, Dr. Edward Nasigri Mahama. Doc, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
So, this is the problem we have seen, perennial flooding over the past few years. Seeing that you are representing the PNC into this year's elections, and it remains a high possibility. It remains a possibility that, yes, you may be our president next year. What would you do differently to fix this problem, essentially?
As you said, if as far back as 2012, we had made preparations to do something about it, then we shouldn't be talking about the problems now. And the disaster last year should not have claimed the lives that it did. There is improper or failure of leadership to follow through with plans, failure of leadership to monitor and make sure that things are done as they should. And I think this is one of the major things that is facing this country. Leadership holding those beneath them accountable for what they do. And that's something that you can bet your bottom dollar Edward Mahama will make sure that any minister I appoint, I give them a target. For example, if I appoint you Minister of Transport and Roads, I'll tell you we have so many mileage which is tarred. By the time you leave office, I want it to be so many more. In other words, you have a target to work with. And if you don't, if I see, as I monitor you, that you are not actually advancing towards the goal that I have set you, I'll relieve you of the job.
Is that to suggest that the president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has failed to hold his appointees accountable for their roles?
Much so, because if 2012 something had been done, this is 2016, 4 years later, and we haven't seen the impact of the plans then. And even last year, there was a disaster that claimed lives. Whom do you hold accountable? The buck stops at the president's desk. And that's why I think that the president is not doing well. That's why I want his job.
Some say beyond the president giving the directives, what more can he do? He has appointed people, he's giving them the directives. One would rather suggest you look at the mayor, for instance. Do you think he should still be having his position?
That is exactly the point. I've given you a job. I've given you targets. If you don't meet them, I relieve you of that job.
So Oko Point needs to be sacked?
According to his performance.
Do you think he needs to be sacked?
Since the floods have become perennial under his watch, he ought probably to resign on his own. The other day I was reading that the IGP for San Francisco in the United States. He stepped aside only because one of his officers shot a woman who was driving a stolen car. And he took responsibility for what his officer did. I'm asking President John Dramani Mahama to take responsibility for the non-performance of Okovandapoy and give the job to Edward Mahama.
Interesting. So, and again, we do know that now you are just about outdooring your campaign. What is that theme or that message that it is that you have for Ghanaians to ensure that, well, they see you as a better option to the current option we have now?
Definitely our campaign theme, which is New Beginnings, New Deal, New Force, focuses on three main areas.
Okay.
The first area is government machinery itself and what we are talking about. Non-productivity, mediocrity at the highest places. We will change that. The second area is targeting agric, the New Deal. We are saying that we'll make sure that Ghana becomes #1 producer of cocoa. We'll make sure that in 2 to 3 farming seasons, our rice import bill is halved by 50%. And we'll make sure that even crops that have not been brought on board become actual cash-producing items so that we can reduce our debt burden. That's why we are going to do what we call a coconut festival. As you may know, the coconut is our symbol, and it has over 100 uses. At the moment, we are not even using 50% of it. So PNC intends to organize a coconut festival where we'll bring those who push it in the wheelbarrow, those who actually cut it from the bush to the town, those on whose land or farms the coconut is growing, and even those who sell the chemicals to spray them, make them disease resistant, together on one spot so that they can network, so that in 2 to 3 years under the PNC administration, we will see that coconut is now an exportable commodity.
Why the emphasis on coconuts?
Oh, simply because it's our symbol.
Okay.
Yes. And we want to see, and also a resilient plant. The coconut is a resilient plant. Okay. And we're telling the Ghanaians that the PNC is a resilient party. Out of power, since 1981, we're able to contest NDC, which has been in power 16 of the 24 years of the Fourth Republic. NPP, which has been in power 8 years of the 24 years. Only PNC hasn't got a crack at the governance of this nation. And this is our 10.
Is that to, in conclusion, suggest that maybe the populace does not really see the PNC as the party to lead the country forward?
Not really. Our politics has been politics of deception. And PNC has refused to deceive people.
So both the NPP and NDC have been deceiving the populace?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The other day, at the by-election in Talensi, they went and started some roads there. As soon as the by-election was over, they abandoned those projects. That's politics of deception. Go into Domi now, you'll see some roads are being constructed because it's election season. When the elections are over, they abandon it. Both NDC and MPP have practiced this politics of deception. PNC won't do that.
My question is, why will anything change now? Seeing that you've presented the PNC and the PNC has also presented Dr. Edward Mahama a number of times, Ghanaians have still not gone for that option. What is going to change now? What is that new message or that new theme or that extra factor that is going to make the PNC more attractive to the populace?
If your electricity bill has gone up, vote PNC. If your water bill has gone up, vote PNC. If your transportation from your house to your job has gone up, vote PNC. They've been voting wahala for themselves, quote unquote. Wahala not an English word.
So Ghanaians have been voting on themselves problems?
Yes. Now PNC is offering them a new way. That's why our slogan now, in addition to 2 sure to direct, is 3 sure new way.
Anyway, many thanks for joining us here on
Thank you for having me. Thank you for
that was
having me.
Dr. Edward Nasigri Mahama, who just joined us in studio. He first and foremost gave us his thoughts on the very issue of flooding that has plagued the country over the past few years. He's also been telling us about the theme for his campaign this time around and why the PNC is a better option as against the NPP and the NDC. You're watching News Today here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you updates in business and sports. Stay on.
Now time for some business. And tax evasion and illicit financial flow cost Ghana over $500 million in lost revenues every year. That's according to the technical experts on exchange of information at the African Tax Administration Forum, RC Tablanche. Speaking to Joy Business at the sidelines of the First African Tax Administration Forum's ATAF consultative meeting of African Competent Authority, TC Tablanche said building capacity of tax authorities to detect and prevent such illicit practice makes economies competitive in the international market.
When you look at the Global Financial Integrity Report, which they produce on an annual basis, when we look at the average illicit financial flow in total from African countries, we talk about $1 trillion over a period of about 10 years, and it's many jurisdictions on average loses between 500 million and $1 billion per annum in terms of illicit financial flows. It is extremely important to curb the illicit financial flows, because if you look at the greater scheme of your gross domestic product for a country, even if a jurisdiction is able to curb the illicit financial flows by about 10%, it really makes a significant contribution to the revenue administration, to the revenue collection, eventually to the state, in order to assist them to become more sufficient, more self-sufficient. Also, in order to utilize the money effectively, when we look at public schools, if you look at healthcare, that money is really extremely important for a jurisdiction in order to become competitive in the international market. It is extremely important for revenue administrations to implement exchange of information offices in the revenue administrations. The absence of an exchange of information office really curtails the progress that any revenue administration would like to make in terms of aspects around transfer pricing, aspects around illicit financial flows, because the exchange of information program allows the revenue administrations to enter into agreements with other jurisdictions in order to obtain the relevant information that can help them to identify illicit financial flows. In the absence of the exchange of information office, the revenue administration is just hampered by the inability to obtain information, and they really need to have this particular program in place in order to curtail illicit financial flows.
The program organized by the Ghana Revenue Authority hopes to assist African countries to mobilize domestic resources and build capacity for tax authorities to check incidents of tax evasion. And institutional development specialist Elizabeth Storbuck spoke about the rationale behind the consultative meeting of African Competent Authority in Ghana.
As part of the G20 development for the GDP goals, they've identified that BEPS is one of the most important programs for global development, and this is one program that's also very close to the African continent. And in line with transfer pricing and also illicit financial flows, in order to assist African countries to mobilize their own domestic resources, exchange of information has been marked as one of the most important programs for the African Tax Administration Forum to focus on. The program is a 3-year program, and within that we provide technical assistance through our expert facilitators, Mr. Terblanche and Mr. Oul in order to upskill and also create awareness for exchange of information in the revenue administrations, and for each administration to effectively exchange information and to build up a stable and sustainable Office of the Competent Authority.
So that will be it for the midday business. There's more business coming to you between 1 and 1:30 on the marketplace. My name is John Kojo Amwako. Coming up next is your sports.
TV. My name is Kwabena Chenchaini. There's more news when you log on to myjohnonline.com. The marketplace comes up next. Many thanks for your company.